So I had, mid-career, a chance conversation with a gentleman by the name of John English. And he was the head of the Ford Foundation Endowment Fund. He was in charge of hiring all the money managers and deciding strategies to earn a return that was better than the benchmark. Lots of pressure, a real thought leader, and I was an investment marketing consultant. I had started my own firm and used him to check out my clients. Wonderful network of the people who were doing the leading edge stuff, and I would go to them and see what their opinion was on where it was going, where the market was going, where a certain kind of strategy was going, and then bring that back to the creative work I did with the firms at that time in a very entrepreneurial, exciting moment of investing. And he got on the phone and he said, Dana, you know I'm retiring. And I said, well, I actually didn't know John, and actually I didn't care. But he continued, he was English, British. He said, you know, life is in thirds. The first third you learn, the second third you earn, and the last third you return. And it just plain stuck. I was going full tilt in my career, doing extremely well, very satisfied, but there was something underneath where it wasn't quite enough, and it wasn't probably what I wanted to do to finish my life with. So I tucked that away, and then I had another conversation with a woman who had turned 60 and gone to Nepal on a trek and had seen women sweeping the streets at 4 a.m. with babies on their back, using chemicals, and she decided to go home, raise money, go back to the Bay Area, get enough funds and connect with a partner over there, and she went back in 1 year and built a daycare center. And I went, age 60, return, that's what's going to be my date. My date at age 60, I am going to officially start the return phase of my life. Well, what do you do? I mean, how do you think about what are you going to do? So it was this process. And it was important to come to New Hampshire and get settled, because you do need time to do this. You can't just go slamming into something without tidying up what you're leaving behind or going to co-work with. And so all of a sudden it came to me. I am going to go to Africa. I'm going to find a village and start a micro-lending program. And it's the kind of thing where you wake up in the morning, you have a thought like that, and you go like, what? But it made sense, because in my learn phase, I had ended up going to a women's college and being the first woman to major in international relations, and my thesis was on Pan-Africanism. I had almost forgotten about that. And of course, my parents were shocked. They thought that I was safe in a women's college and not going to be thinking about things like Africa. And then in the micro-lending piece really fit too, because I was a woman entrepreneur. I had my own business and had done extremely well. I really believed that women entrepreneurs were something to invest in, and that's what microloans generally do. And so, the village. Well, you can't fly to Africa. And it makes you realize Africa is 54 countries. So I had to pick a country. Well, when I worked with the investment managers, they always did top-down indicators when they were picking a bottom-up stock. So I said, well, I'm going to do this in a very logical way. I'm going to decide what country is the right country for me to go to, and it needed to be safe, a good democracy, if there was a country like that, and speak English. And the obvious one to choose was Ghana. And so I had selected the country, and what did I need next? A village. Well, how in the hell do you find a village in a country you've never been to, where you know no one? And this is where creativity comes in. Well, you leave and you go there. I had a handful of contacts. I booked a flight, and I had George take me to exit 12 on 89, fly to Logan, bus to Logan, fly to Heathrow, and the most exciting flight of my entire life, where I'd booked a lot of miles in my business, going from London to Accra. And I had no one waiting for me at the other end. I had a few contacts, I had phone calls, phone numbers to make, phone numbers that I had, and 2 days later, I am in a village. I am in Pokwasi. The first call I made was to a gentleman who was the father of my trainer in New York. And he was half Ghanaian. And this trainer had called his dad and really, really pumped his dad up. Well, his dad had gone to this chief and said, this white woman is coming to this country and wants to help the poor people. And the chief said, well, let's make her comfortable here. And he had even found a place for me to stay with the only white person in the town. He felt I'd be more comfortable. And you can see we were, my first meeting was not too unlike a meeting in New York, and that is we had beer. We immediately brought out the beer. They kind of knew that I liked to drink beer, and things got relaxed. 2 weeks later, I went back to the chief and I said, Ni, that's what you call the chief, Ni, his name was Ni Adokwami III. And I said, I have decided to stay here. And he said, great, you will work through me. And I went, no, it's woman to woman, but I will keep you informed. And that's what I did. And so what does a town like this look like? What is poverty? Poverty is a word that is not helping people venture onto the international frontier. Poverty in Africa and other emerging countries is a very different animal. The living is tough. When you don't have anything, you're still in a mud hut, although that's getting more and more rare. You work all day selling goods on the street. The women have the brunt of the earning because it's an informal economy, and that means you can only sell to local people. You sell goods that you can buy, the produce. Do you notice how happy these people look? There's a spirit about, in spite of the grinding poverty, in spite of no electricity, in spite of having to go fetch water in the river, in spite of having to ask your kids to fetch the water because things still haven't gotten improved, people tend to stay at it. Down here is the one latrine for a big, big neighborhood. There is washing the kids in the laundry, cooking into the night on an open fire. And this is the social safety net. If you can't do anything else, if you can't get along with people, if you can't sell to people, you go to the pit and break rock by hand. And so if there's no other way to make money, this is the social safety net in this country, in this town, Pokwasi. It's so shocking. You go up there and you hear the hammer beating. I do have a great story, though. This is one of our micro-lending clients. I cannot tell you, she is so sharp. With the first loan she got, she had aspirations to get a lease on a plot of land where she could guarantee the employment to the people who came up every day to break the rock. And she negotiated a contract with a cement maker, and an amazing woman signs her name with a thumbprint. So it's great to be in a place like this with these kinds of a tool like microlending and good news in Africa. So how do you run a women's trust? Where do you start? I had read Mohammed Yunus's book. You meet with the women, you hire an administrator. She was Mrs. Baidu, and we worked from her home. That was the office to start. We started to go dead. There we go, thank you. We started growing. We increased the staff. They were local people who knew people in the community. There we go. Got an office in a central building, the one central building for free. The town officials were now buying into what we were doing, our commitment. And you listen to the women, and the trick is you keep coming back. The mission that we have is to empower women and girls in one town, Pokwasi, Ghana, through microenterprise education and healthcare. And the last piece we added, inspire others to do the same elsewhere. In microenterprise, we accomplished a lot. Since the end of last year, we had 3,200 loans that we, as an organization, gave out in this town. And here's the before, and here's the after. That's what you want to see, is the woman. Oops, that's going forward. Oh well, we'll keep going. Oh, there we go. Let me go back. This is too important. This is too exciting. I want to go back. There we go. Okay, that is Adjoa before the loan. This is the same woman after the loan. She's diversified her inventory. She's made her kiosk better. She has a steadier return. That's all that microlending is about. The only things they can do is making clothes, hairdressing, selling bread. This woman was the first to get a $5,000 loan. She bought an oven and hired 10 more people. And her next loan, she wants to buy a truck, handle the distribution. Wouldn't you let this woman manage just about anything? She runs the drink business in town. And we bring in volunteers for business consulting from our community. The ripple effect is incredible. And learning crafts, learning new skills. Education, you want to keep girls in school. You want them to go from this to this. And I am not kidding, you do it. You can do it. You get them to graduate, you get them to stay in school, and you bring enrichment. You bring natural enrichment that they understand, that is geared to them. The first time imaginative learning is taught. And so computer classes were big. No one in town had pulled it together. And so often it isn't what you bring. Yes, we hand-carried computers, but it's how you organize it. We had to find the room. We had to get a commitment of the girls to carry the tables every single day. They carry tables and chairs to the only room we could secure, and they show up on time. Dominic teaches it, and it's standing room only, expanding from mornings to afternoons, and that's 20 computers that you bring over. But see, if we had just brought the computers to a non-functioning hub, you wouldn't be there. Great story. What about the men? People always ask us. Well, this is a scholarship ceremony where the girls are being honored, and we ask that they bring a guardian or a parent, and more than 50% of the adults attending were men. Unheard of in this town. Many other indicators where the culture starts changing. In healthcare, we brought over nurses, we set up clinics, we found them a place to have their baby weighing. This woman is a very skilled birth attendant, but this is where she does it. This is where the women give birth. And that's this kind of standard you have there. And you can see why 1 in 20 die in childbirth. not for not trying. Inspire others, this is replicable. A group from Skidmore heard about us, they started one. A group from Seattle heard about us, they started one. Group from California, she started one. She just moved there. Of course, California girls are crazy, and I am one. The characteristics of what we do, it's purposely small scale, it's personal relationships, entrepreneurial, measurable results. Everything has a contract. Everyone who joins in with us is committed to handling their end of the contract as we are. Agenda-free. So much top-down aid comes with agendas. We have none. It builds trust. It becomes their program. It becomes their ideas. And most important, it's bottom-up. Bottom-up means, just as with the chief, there's no layers. And you have an adaptable kind of control, allowing for innovation. A gentleman came over, he's Mr. Bottom Up, his name is Bill Easterly. He teaches at NYU. He wrote a great book, and he, when I read his book, I said, this is what we're doing. I didn't even know, and he was calling it bottom-up aid. And I called him, he came over, and then he came over a second time, and he thinks what we're doing is right on. There's a lot of information he's written about us. But the topic I'm talking about today is the power of the overground railroad. And here's why I want to talk about that, is that there's a real problem that there can be 100,000 women's trusts. In fact, there really already are. Many, many people. I don't know if you know of people doing work in Africa and other places on the ground, and you go like, there's so many of you. I have people say, I'm confused. Why don't you guys join up? This doesn't seem efficient. They stay on the sidelines and they don't give you money. They do not connect because it doesn't seem clean enough. And what we have with the Overground Railroad, I think, is a way to talk about a rubric that puts all of us under this and makes it okay to be an individual on the ground committing to doing good. The term I really love because it harkens back to a wonderful day in our history, the Underground Railroad. And it really is getting people to safety. And the best way to share the American dream, to preserve the American dream, is to share it. I hope you guys will consider being a member of the Overground Railroad when you get to your return phase of life. Thank you.